What is up, comic fam? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. Happy Sunday. That means this is that week's in the spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and more. But before we start talking about that and going over all these books that dropped this week, check this out. Let's go ahead and thank the sponsors, Big Time Collectibles. Be sure to check them out at their website or on any of the social medias. They sponsor the monthly Legion Loot giveaway box, as well as Justin Comics on Instagram. If you need anything cleaned or pressed, hit them up. Use the promo code. The link to both of those places are in the description of all my videos. Be sure to check them out. And let's just go ahead and get this rolling, bring in our guests. Per always, we're rocking with Ryan. What is happening, my dude?
What is going on, man?
Nothing much.
Cool.
That's what you said. What is going on, man? High fives.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All my favorite people are in the chat, so.
Well, yeah, we're going to get to that in just 1 second. Let's go ahead and bring in, as you see from the thumbnail, Chris's work schedule has changed. What we've got, Mr. Paul Cook joining us on Sunday nights now. We've got another man who is well-read on comics to help fill out the show.
Is that a thing I'm supposed to do?
That's the thing.
To do that?
Yeah,
okay.
We're doing this.
Yeah, okay.
Hey! How are you tonight, Paul? You doing good tonight?
Doing well. How are you folks?
Fantastic. So today's show is going to be the exact same as usual, but it's going to be at a quicker pace than usual. My son starts school tomorrow, as well as I have to get up at 4 a.m. to take my mom to get her bionic knee put in. So she's getting a knee replacement. So we're going to try to cover all the stuff we normally do. We're going to skip on a lot of the comic news because there's nothing to talk about other than the stupid C2E2 thing, which we are not talking about. That seems like that's dominated everything that I've noticed all week. So perfect. It saves more time for just talking comics and talking with each other and the people in the chat. So let's go ahead and say hey to them. We got Paul Rodgers up in there. Look at that channel emoji, or what is it? Channel loyalty badge next to the name. Love it. Mars Comics, how are you this evening? The White Shadow himself. Ryan, the part I did not fill you in on is Chip went viral 3 days in a row and made it to Bleeding Cool News because he happened to accidentally put up a video like he normally would for us in his corner of the community to watch on the topic. And it was the first piece of information out there on YouTube, apparently. And it's what got picked up. And yeah, so he's actually famous now. He went to a Bill Sienkiewicz signing. Yeah, he went to a Bill Sienkiewicz signing at a museum yesterday. And somebody there recognized him and asked to take a picture with him and everything because of him being famous now.
He had at least 5,000 views on that video at the last time I checked.
Wow.
So it's got to be even close to 6 now.
Yeah, he had 6 last night. Yeah, I think it was 6 last night. It was hilarious. Boom, boom. Yeah, early birds. We're 5-minute late birds. We just do that for consistency's sake. If we started early, no one would be here yet.
Yeah.
What is going on, Iggy? How are you doing tonight? Paul's up in the chat. Jerry, what is going on, man? I'm glad I see your name there. I'm actually going to pull your welcome packet stuff and put it in my car to make sure I have it on Tuesday. I don't want to forget that. And also, for the people here who didn't see it last Sunday, I'm going to show off what I have for the Legion loot box for this month. The channel giveaway got some cool stuff. I'll do that after we go through the chat. Boom, 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 boom. What is going on, Pops? How are you doing? He's about to be worn out. He's double duty with the kids. And look, there's my brother. Held to the bionic mother. Finally, her body will be able to keep up with her ambition. Yeah, that's what I was just telling Paul that. He was pointing out rehab. When you have it rehab, I said, if chasing kids around is rehab, she'll be just fine. But yeah, that's my brother. That's awesome. First time I've actually seen him in one of the live shows. To my brother, because my nephew's always bugging me about it. If you look down in the description to my videos now, you will see a link to the merch store where you can find the t-shirts like Paul's wearing, I'm wearing, as well as the Austin Over Pete shirts. There's slides and there, all kinds of stuff. I'm still building it up before I do like a video on it and link it in underneath my videos and stuff on like my homepage or whatever. But it is shoppable, John, so that my nephews can quit asking me to ask you to buy them stuff.
And it's a dedicated link, right? It actually has Legion of Comics in the link.
Yeah, it's legionofcomics.shop. So if you don't want to hit the link, you just want to look it up and you can't remember what it is, it's just legionofcomics.shop. So I was able to finally get the domain for it and everything. Took a page out of Ryan's book and got a domain.
Nice. Very nice.
So you are the master of your domain.
I am.
That's exactly what I told him.
So these are going to be the books that are in next month's Legion loot box. So as always, I've got some exclusives from Big Time Collectibles. We also have a temporary sponsor of Legal Burning, who's donated a lot of his art to the channel to give away in monthly giveaways, random giveaways when I appear on other people's channels for stuff, whatever it is. But we have House of Slaughter number 6. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger real quick. House of Slaughter number 6. This is the MegaCon exclusive. Yeah, this was their MegaCon exclusive for House of Slaughter. We've got Venom Lethal Protector, the Miko Suyon. They call it a sketch variant. It's just really a black and white. You know, he doesn't sketch. And then we have the Spider-Man 2099 Exodus, and of course that's a 300 homage. I don't remember who did this. I want to say it's Scan, but
I was gonna say Scan too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally we have Gwenverse number 2. And that's the David Nakayama Virgin variant with Jane Foster Thor and Spider-Gwen on it. Those are the ones from Big Time Collectibles, so shout out to them. And then Randy over at Legal Burning. And again, this art is done with a wood burning tool. He hand draws these and burns them on the paper. Absolutely amazing art. Like, it blows my mind every time I look at these things. And then we've got that looks like the Mandalorian, but it's on. At this point, you got the Mandalorian, you got Boba Fett, you got Django, who's better than all of them. And then because the Black Panther trailer, I kind of felt like theming the box out. So this is just a random one here. It's just a chromed out early Jay Lee cover. It's Namor issue 37. He'll be in the upcoming Black Panther movie. And then for a little bit of the spec purposes, we have Black Panther number 3, which is the first appearance of Tosin, something like that, who people are guessing might be the new Black Panther coming up. And this is the Jusco variant. And then we have a CGC 9.8 Black Panther number 1. This is the second print Alex Ross sketch. So you have like the entire cast on there, and it's a wraparound. So all of that will go to one lucky channel member during this live show, the first Sunday of next month, which will be a holiday weekend.
Oh, yeah, Labor Day, right?
Oh, yeah. Nice. I think I'm off that day.
Perfect. I'm not, unfortunately. That's also Dragon Con weekend, and me and the wife are kicking around the idea of possibly trying to go for one day. It's from Thursday to Sunday.
Where is it at?
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But Jang hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, are you going to Dragon Con?" I'm like, "I never thought I would. Why? Isn't that like an anime convention?" He's like, "Kinda. It's gotten bigger than that." But he said he's going, and my wife caught wind of him going, so she's like, "We should go." I'm like, I don't want to go to Atlanta. We've had this conversation. Flash right now. What is going on, brother? That Black Panther sketch is fire in person. Definitely so. So let's get into it. What have you read this week, Brian? So we get an idea of because I'm of the assumption Paul reads everything. That's after he was on here with us last time, and every book he's like, "Oh yeah, I read that." Yeah.
I feel like there was a bigger DC book that I don't read, maybe a Dark Crisis book or something. But other than that, I read pretty much everything.
Was it Deceased?
I didn't read Deceased now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I read Blood Syndicate, Jurassic League, Punisher, Samurai Doggy, Starhenge, Superman, and There's Something Wrong with Patrick Todd. So any of that is cool to cover. If I didn't read it, don't even bother.
It's not too many. Oh, I have books somewhere else in the house. You know, what was that? Starhenge. Did you get a chance to read Starhenge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. I'm gonna let y'all talk for a second. Paul, go through what you picked up this week. I gotta go grab these other books, or I will never.
I actually didn't read a whole lot this week, but the two that I read was the Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, the Green Lantern one shot.
There was a Dark Crisis book.
Yep, exactly, and Starhenge. But then the thing that I actually really found myself doing this week, I was telling Ryan beforehand, was I actually went back and I reread the first collected edition of Sandman, Preludes and Nocturnes, because of the Sandman, obviously on Netflix, and it is frighteningly amazing how close to the source material the the series is. There's some changes, obviously, for some reasons. Like, I'm sure they were probably told that they couldn't use John Constantine, so they used Joanna instead in the series.
I noticed that
Um,
about the show. I didn't know if that was intentional. It was a
yeah,
separate
no,
character altogether.
yeah, no. I'm guessing that probably because he's probably still committed to maybe doing something with like JL Dark, JLU Dark, whatever. And he also was in. Did you see this week's Harley Quinn?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. He's actually in this week's Harley Quinn too, and Matt Ryan does the voice of him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did. Pop said I had a good. Yeah, I had 4 books sitting in the other room. Where I was attempting to read them today, just didn't work out. Or 3 books. I read Starhenge, but Ghost Rider had that 50-year anniversary book come out this week. That's supposed to give us the fill in the gap while he was that time that he was lost, where was Johnny Blaze. And I still haven't read New Fantastic Four from last year. I got 4 pages into it. It's just been a busy week. So still got those to go. But Punisher, Starhenge. Y'all want to talk Deceased real quick? Knock that one out.
Sure.
Final series started. Do you read that one, Paul? I didn't hear what y'all you read.
I did not. It's actually in my pile to read this week. I said I went back and I started reading The Sandman again.
Oh,
So.
nice. Well, I'll burn through it real quick. We get like an origin for Supergirl in this universe. Like it's the whole hopeful getting shot off the planet and everything. You think she's going to Earth, but her parents actually sent her to New Genesis, where her cousin has been sent to live with men. We're sending you to live with God. She lands there and they're already zombied out. It kind of cliffhangs you on that. And then you kind of get caught up with the heroes where we left them before, grown up John Kent, Cassie, and Damian, and they have the cure from the last volume. So they're trying to implement the cure to those that have survived, and they kind of touch on a very serious part, like not everyone can be cured because some of these people they legit killed. You know what I mean? Like Alfred's going through some major PTSD because he killed his entire family. He didn't escape them. He killed them. Yes.
It's a find a short shot.
Oh, tell mommy. She'll help you.
I did, but I can't.
Oh, well, I'll do it. I'll do it on my phone. I got you. But so Alfred's dealing with that, but there was one character that wasn't dead who'd been just still zombied out, and he's in the center of the sun, and that's Clark. Why you go bed? Dude, you got school tomorrow, homie. Not playing this game. And so they've got the cure, and John's there. The Marvel family that's alive are there. They're all right outside the perimeter of the sun, and John's going to go in to the sun and try to cure his dad. And there's this awesome altercation with a one-armed Clark, because his arm got taken off in the previous volumes, and he's just beast moding him. Like there's no stopping him. He's been charging up in the sun for like forever at this point, for years. And they managed to get the cure in. They cured him. And then they were able to give him a bionic arm, which I thought is the coolest thing in the world. As an 80s kid who grew up in the 90s, living through the reign of Superman era, like as a kid. So when I was a kid and Superman died, he died. My dad, I can remember my dad trying to say, like, dude, he'll be fine. He'll be back. People die, they get better. I'm like, they do? I don't think they do. I think that this cyborg is really him, Dad. Like I honestly thought Hank Henshaw, like when they rolled out, I thought that was our Superman moving forward because I was young. So it's really cool seeing Superman with this bionic arm, this robot arm. It's my favorite thing so far that I've seen in this entire series. I don't know why, but it's actually really dope. Fits him.
Nice.
Fits him. So we know that we're supposed to be dealing with Darkseid in this one. Brainiac shows up to their planet. They get in there, and Brainiac's torn to bits and destroyed, and he's kind of warning them of the undead gods are coming, kind of thing. So it was a good start. It was a really good start. Yeah, I agree, Jerry. It was really good. So it picked up where the last one left off, touched on some serious dramatic points with the characters, built the universe out even more. We're dealing with New Genesis. We got Brainiac in there, and then left us with a great kicker at the end. There's some awesome gimmicky cover variants. They had the poly bag that was shaped like a body bag that had the Matina Virgin in it, of all things. Like, what a treat for those that picked that up. So it was just fun. I can't wait for it. Tom Taylor, every installment of this series has just been a blast. And now that this is coming back out, I can tell Chris that I don't have time to read DC versus Vampires.
Which is actually a really good story, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to read it. I've read issue 1 at this point. I've been waiting on some of it to pile up on the app.
Mm.
I'm jaded when it comes to Tynan at this point.
Yeah.
But I still love Department of Truth, and I feel like it's been forever since Nice House has dropped.
Yeah, we haven't had an issue in a long time, it feels like.
Yeah, we were on hiatus, and it came back just to give us 2 issues, and now we're chilling.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Feels like it's been a long time since we got a Department of Truth also.
Yeah, and it's not one coming next week either. I don't know. I don't know if it's his body of work is just slowed down. I don't know. With his, he has a stacked work schedule. You know, he does like 50 different series at once.
So he has a Substack work schedule.
Yeah. What was that? The Closet. I was saying Love Everlasting dropped this week. That's one that I was able to read. That's Tom King's Substack, where James Tynion just had his first Substack first comic hit the shelves a month or so ago. We got Tom King's first one. You read that, Ryan, on Substack, right?
Yeah, I read it back when it originally was released.
So I've been excited about this because Ryan actually would give us little tidbits of it along the way. But I'm a paper copy guy, and I try to do digital. I'm horrible at keeping up with it. Asking me to do Substack is just a lost cause. I have a hard time keeping up with Ryan stuff. I'm like, to remember to go check it and everything. But Love Everlasting, issue number 1 by Tom King and Elsa
Charretier, something like that.
Charretier. Yeah, it sounds French. Charretier, maybe.
Yeah, she's French, so it's definitely French. But yeah, I don't know the actual pronunciation of it.
So this is the B or C cover, one of the 3. Yeah, this is
there
the
was a lot
cover
of covers for it.
done by Clay Mann. So I had to go with Clay Mann, just a phenomenal artist. There was hard to pick through a lot of them, but this was an interesting read. Don't know where it's going yet, but I know what direction they're taking us in. So I don't know how far you are, Ryan, but this takes us through 3 little short stories, and it's clearly a callback to the like Harlequin romances or early romance comic books. And it starts off following this character as she's jealous of her best friend's boyfriend and fiance, who kindly gives her a job in the office, and she's always daydreaming over him, this and that. And then she accidentally has a kiss with him in the office one night, and they both are full of regret. And she goes home, who she lives with her best friend, and finds out, hey, Mom, hi. Finds out her best friend is actually seeing multiple guys and kind of nonchalantly just dating around and everything. And she doesn't know what to do, and she finds out her best friend. She finds out her best friend actually gets engaged with another guy, and she goes back to work, and the guy just confesses his love to her. It's like a perfect happy ending. Nothing goes wrong at all in it, and it just ends in a kiss. And you cut over, like fast forward like 50 years from like the 50s to the 70s, to a girl at a show watching this guy like play, and she's all into it. She goes home, and her dad's like, "You don't need to be hanging out with him," kind of thing. And she's like, "But I like this guy." And then all of a sudden she replaces his name for the guy from the first story. And you all of a sudden find out that these aren't individual stories. They're interlocked, and this is the same primary female character. And for some reason she's having recall of this other life, but she can't hold on to it. And then this story goes and it has a happy ending. And then it cuts back to the Wild Wild West. And now she's having recall of both of these past 2 lives on top of her, and she doesn't know why. But she can't help but follow the narrative of her story. It's like it's a fleeting thought. She calls people by the wrong guy's name, this and that. And at the end of it, the very last page is her like World War II by a wounded guy in a hospital bed, and she's kissing him kind of thing. And she walks over to the mirror and just looks at herself and just says, "Oh, F word," and puts her hands in her face. Like it's just something's happening. She's just going through all these different ages, and she's just steadily building up these memories. It's insane.
Yeah. So I'm on issue 5 just came out, I think last week or the week before.
You're way ahead.
In Tom King years, yes. But this is a non-spoiler thing to that point, because I actually remember exactly what I told you when that issue first dropped. It reminds me of WandaVision, Like you're going through all these different eras and there's something that just isn't quite right, but you still don't know exactly what it is. And they do in issue 5, you do get like all the answers to those questions. But yeah, at the time I remember talking about it. Yeah, I remember talking about that book. Whenever I got to the end, I was just like, holy
What-
crap, like this reminds me this reminds me so much of WandaVision, where you're seeing all these the same thing play out in different eras, and you're like, something's just not quite right here. Like, you know, very uncanny valley. Like it's almost right, but not quite.
That first,
It's been a
story
good
just threw me for a
series.
loop. That first story threw me for a loop. I'm like, is he really just doing a romance book?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Tom King wanted to do a like 50s romance comic, and so that's actually kind of his thing. Elsa was like, I mostly just want to work with you and like make an awesome comic book. So she signed on, and in one of the more recent interviews, she was saying like she kind of went back and studied romance comics and kind of poured a lot of that into the first issue, but she was like, after the first issue, it was just like me being me at that point. She's like, there's not uh you know, it's not nearly as much like a real strict homage to romance comics, even though like Tom King continues to write in that romance comic homage. You know, she was like, at that point, I was just like trying to like put all this story together visually. So, and it does change a little bit after that first issue. It's not all like 3 stories or something. Like after that, most of them are all like a singular story, but they're all set in different time periods. They're all like segmented like that, and you start to get like more and more of it unravels as you move through. So it's really good. I really enjoy it.
I'm definitely in for it because, like I said, at first I'm like, dude, is this just a straight romance novel? And then as soon as I caught them, okay, here we go. So now he's playing with his tropes in a very, very creative way, and you won't have those people that can sit there and be like, oh, he's deconstructing and he's doing, dude. The timeline thing is part of his story. He's good at structuring complex stories, so he writes structured, complex stories.
Yeah, and it gets wild, man. Like it's a really good series.
What's another one y'all read?
Starhenge.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk Starhenge.
Yes, we can talk the rest of this episode on Starhenge. It's right here. Oh, what'd you think?
Oh man, it was same thing as the first one. I had to read it twice, okay, because I just got so caught up in looking at the images that I wasn't even reading some of the actual narrative that they were putting on the page. But it's I think we talked about it last time. It's part fantasy, it's part English history, it's part science fiction. It's no matter if you're involved or you're interested in any of those, you would love this.
Ryan, what'd you think?
I thought this one was a little bit easier to digest, I guess. You know, it was a much like stricter narrative. We kind of just followed 2 characters telling another story. But it felt like a little more, I don't know, like a little more, you know, on the rails.
Linear.
I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, linear, definitely. But you know, like this one I really enjoyed because it you know, like I said, it was like easier to digest and kind of like put everything together kind of now that we know who we're talking about and what their influence on history was, and then overlapping that with, you know, actual history and getting a history lesson as we go through and seeing how like those puzzle pieces go together. I thought this one was really cool. I think one of the most like visually interesting things was like, did he turn a page from the first book into a panel? Like that blew my mind. There's
Which
like
one?
It's like the top half of one of the pages. The middle panel is like extra wide, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that's a whole page from the first issue whenever they're like kind of like recapping stuff. I was like, man, that's insane. I don't know how he puts these pages together, but it's just like absolutely stunning. The pages whenever they have the Africans bringing the stones and stuff, like
the
just like
drawings and
amazing there. Yeah, like
so there was
these
all
pages
kinds of
are
little
incredible.
hidden imagery like that, like when they have the stones and everything in there, and you see that. But the flashback sequence that we get when she's kind of flashing back to her parents and how they were telling her goodbye and they went for the car ride where they died. First off, that's very suspect situation. So, all right, so with the main character in today's like the time era of today, God, what is that guy's name? Daryl. He caught
Daryl.
up. Yeah, he caught up with Amber. Is that her name? He caught up with Amber at Halloween in England, like she asked him to, but it was 1 year later. And kind of catches her smooching on her current girlfriend and everything. And her and Daryl go off and talk, and they kind of start talking about more of themselves personally. And she's sharing about her parents, how how her dad was just a basic casual guy, but her mom was into art and this Celtic stuff, and that's what got her into the whole Wicca stuff. And they left one day for a car ride, and she was just chilling, took a nap, and she has the cops show up at her door to find out that the car ran off the road. Her parents got out of the car, ran, but didn't get away from whatever violently killed them, and no one knows. But during this whole section, this is a massively emotional and very violent thing that happened, but it's drawn in a very innocent, cartoonish, childlike way, flat without color. But all through it, you can see where he's drawn like runes and stuff on the side panels and everything as it goes, as it pertains kind of to the story. Like when you see her crying and them carrying her parents' coffin, there's runes that say like strength, journey, unknowable, and stuff like that. And then it's just really cool. He has all this hidden stuff, like you talking about them carrying the stones. That was drawn like hieroglyphs almost. But it was a wicked little moment. But we also flash back to old English time because we had Merlin. We found out that our primary character, who's trying to go find and save magic and bring it back to the future to stop the war, is actually Merlin. He was sent back in time, and that's who the wizard was. He's not a wizard. He's just from the future. So he's capable and able to do things with his knowledge that people are perceiving as magic, and he's on a quest to find the real magic that's been lost. But they kind of interject him into real historical moments, which I thought was really cool. And some savage moments at that. But we're seeing the struggle he's going through.
Yeah, I actually really, it's very almost what's the word I'm looking for? It's very historical, but the whole thing where you talk about Amorica being part of France, and you have the hill in Ireland, which is where supposedly the stones came that ended up being Stonehenge,
Stonehenge,
right? So it just, I'm a big history buff too, so I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, so he kind of tricked. He didn't trick, but he could pretty much say anything, and people are taking him at his word. So he's telling them to go mine these stones from like the next island over that are heavier than anyone's ever built. So he's basically starting the blueprints for what's going to become Stonehenge, or probably add to this book, it's going to end up being what's really a Starhenge. Which what a little reveal there too. That we don't know what its purpose is going to be or what its function is. Just like in real life, no one knows what the purpose or function of Stonehenge was. People can speculate on it, but it's one of those great mysteries. So it's fun that we're actually dabbling and playing with that in this. And I also want to point out it's ironic that Amber, the little girl whose parents died in a car wreck, she actually drives the same vehicle as an adult that her parents died in when she was a child. I don't know if y'all caught that.
Yeah, whenever she drives off in the Beetle.
Yeah.
Yep, the Volkswagen, yep.
And so she drives off with her boyfriend and kind of has a moment talking about some lore and history about when the devil came to this man who strangely looks like Merlin and was tricked into creating the little geographical feature that they're standing on and looking at, which was a pretty cool story. But then we get the kind of the kicker at the end where I forget what this artificial intelligence robot army thing. We haven't gotten much detail on it yet, but at the end, you turn the page and you cut to that savage, beautifully painted machine with that dead person's skinned face stretched across it. But like we touched on last week, when they turned this artificial intelligence on, not knowing what it was, and it attacked, the first thing it did is saw how we people wear machines, like earpieces. And look at Paul; he's wearing a machine right now. So they decided to do the same thing with us. They go to this even bigger machine, like it looks like one of their big bruisers. They turn it on, and you see its kind of head just look up, and then you see a stretched out piece of flesh come and just get put over its face, and that's where it leaves us. So I'm suspecting in the next issue we might spend some more time back in the the later time art. Yeah. I hate to talk about this stuff and say past, present, and future because it just sounds so convoluted. It's hard to really break down stuff like that.
Yeah, and obviously you can't say enough about Liam Sharp's art either. It is just incredible.
It's up here.
Yeah, the way that like all the panels are like pulled out of the page and stuff, just I don't know, it's beautiful.
And it looks like there's like a 5-man art team on this because of how versatile his style is. How he can just flip from one thing to the other, like soft paleted black and whites to just crazy colorful machines and stuff to cartoon looking kid stuff. And
whenever she tells the story of her parents dying, like it looks like a Dan Peavy piece of artwork or something. What's going on here? But it works, like it gets the point across. Like she was a kid and this is how she remembers it. And there's like a lack of details to everything. And there's like some very strange details. Like her parents went for a road trip in their Volkswagen. I was like, man, that's oddly specific. And then later we see them driving around in a little Volkswagen Beetle. And I was like, oh, okay.
Pop says it's reminiscent of Philip Jose Farmer. I'm not familiar with that writer.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're going to need a cameo for Magnus. Just you throw him in that, just goes to town.
It's really cool though the way that it kind of like transcends like the comic bubbles and stuff. Like there's like whole sections of the pages that are just like a lot of prose and a lot of writing, which is I wouldn't say impressive, but kind of surprising. For an artist to like have parts of the book that aren't done through the artwork specifically, but actually take the time to write stuff out.
And I was wondering about
really
that.
Interesting and really cool.
After I read this, I was kind of wondering about that because I read this second issue and I was blown away by the art and everything, but the writing in this is strangely good for an artist. And that's really not normally the case when it comes down to all this stuff. But so the fact that it held for 2 issues, I was blown away because look at Jock. When Jock went to do that Batman book, it was atrocious. I didn't even like it was prestige format. I love those. It was Black Label. I haven't found one I haven't loved, and then there was that one. Like I'm not picking up issue 2. But I was blown away by this. So I went and looked at his Instagram just to see if he had any information up there. And he had a post that said, what a journey. I can hardly believe it's finally happening. But this career-long and longer gestating Merlin-related tale with all the trimmings and sci-fi spin has been birthed and hit stores July 6th. So it sounds like this is like a passion project he's clearly been working on or had in his head for a very, very long time. And it really does show. It absolutely shows.
Yeah, and the thing is too that strikes me is if this is basically his freshman outing writing, right? Is how long has he been in comics? What could he have done if he had been doing
3 decades or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Well, who knows if he came out the gate too soon? He is an artist. Maybe this is how long it takes an artist to do something good. And
you cannot rush an artist.
Yes. They need to send that memo.
You can't rush art.
Like, great concept, man. Try again in 3 decades. Bring us back the same story in 3 decades and show us what changed.
Right.
In 30 years, we're going to get Starhenge too.
Yeah, and that's a good point because I do want to point out
this is book 1.
Yeah, the working title of this is Starhenge Book 1, The Dragon and the Boar. And this is 2 issues of that. That's the full working title. That's a lot of words. So this is just book 1. So hopefully it performs well enough. It is that Image, so I mean they don't have to get like Marvel numbers to get more issues, which is great. But man, I want to continue to support Pump and Share about this because I think it's fantastic. This is what I'd like to see more comics like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to see our superhero comics be treated like this because they're not always. That's for damn sure.
Right.
Speaking of one that wasn't treated with so much TLC, Predator from Marvel dropped this week, and I was actually hesitant to. I love Aliens, Predators, RoboCop, all that Dark Horse stuff. Have since I was a kid. I've got all the stuff in collected forms, even novels like Pops. We used to hit bookstores everywhere, even out of town, looking for old Alien novels and stuff and Predator novels. But I didn't pick up Marvel's Alien because I'm like, dude, it's Disney. Well, after the fact, I find out it's Philip Kennedy Johnson, and people are like, this is really good. So I'm like, dude, I want to go back and read it now. So I'm not going to miss out on Predator. Plus, the movie came out. I was on cloud 9, picked up Predator 1, got this awesome variant cover by somebody. Can't remember who did it, but it's super dope. And it's green. But what wasn't good was what's inside the pages. The interiors are flat as hell. There's some of them that just look cartoony and quirky, and some of them that are like really fleshed out, but none of the ones with the actual Predator fleshed out. He's got one of the coolest creature designs in history, and he's just bland as they come. And then I was thinking, this is a new age. It's been some time since we had Predator comics, and I read this, and this doesn't feel like the start of Predator with Marvel or anything. It just feels like a throwaway from the Dark Horse era, which there's nothing wrong with those, but it doesn't feel new or fresh. It's just plot-wise, it's set in who cares when in the future, following a group of who cares people, scientists on a planet, looking for stuff and got their kids there because they always have their kids with them and stuff. And a predator starts attacking the research people and this and that, and they're trying to get away, and the little girl's the only survivor, and she's hunting predator now, and she has their tech, and she's killing predator somehow, and she's looking for the one that got her parents, and she's going to find him. And like, okay.
Yeah.
What a place to start. Really?
I was wondering how that turned out because, like I did read Alien 1 when it dropped. And the main reason I read it was because I was like, oh, this is interesting. They're dropping an Alien book, but there's no Alien movie or anything coming out. And I'm kind of interested to see how this works because Disney bought Alien, so clearly they're not going to do anything good with it. So I was like, let me check out this comic and see how bad it's going to be. I was like, oh, this actually seems to be very respectful of the property. And then whenever I saw that there was a Predator coming out, I was like, oh, there was just a movie. I wonder if this is just a cash grab.
Yeah, the timing is suspect. Definitely suspect.
Yeah.
Ed Bisson or something like that.
Ed Brisson?
Brisson. Yeah, and everyone, and the people I've talked to, like, yeah, he normally puts out decent stuff. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to get good. I'm definitely going to pick up issue 2 and see where it goes. But
he did Beyond the Breach, and there's something wrong with Patrick Todd.
I wasn't.
He's gonna do the new Batman Incorporated series when it comes out.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's on that.
I'll be passing on Ghostmaker and Company because Batman Incorporated is led by Ghostmaker now, and is just nothing against it. I just don't care what's going on with Ghostmaker or Clown Hunter. Not in the degree that I want to follow them in their own title. Like I'd be happy to see them pop in here and there. I'm Batmaned out almost, guys. I'm very happy to be reading the main title, and even more than that, I'm happy to be reading Detective still with Ron V on it. The main title is just looks like they're throwing money at the book, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you know,
I was gonna say, like, I enjoyed the Batman issues, but like, in no way am I thinking about them beyond like release date. You know, like I'm not anticipating the next one. I just know I'm gonna enjoy it when it gets here. Whereas like Detective right now, I'm like, man, I cannot wait to read that next issue.
Because we don't know what Ron V is going to do. I know exactly how the Batman thing's going to play out, you know. But that was a cool little catch that he did when he got the Batman from however you say the
Zur-N-R.
Zur-N-R, yeah. No, but I don't understand why would you have to go put on your armor, bro? You can be mean in any outfit. You know what I mean?
You can fight Superman, but you can't. You can't fight a robot. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm more interested in that real psychological thriller that Ron V's about to be delivering us. And check out the second print cover. Big Time Collectibles just shared it. I saw it where they're doing pre-orders for the second print cover with the Gotham Noir style cover to it. It was wicked.
Is that the one with his head cut in half, basically, right?
Yeah, with the bat splitting it in half. Yeah.
Taylor,
I have a seat over there. What's up, Taylor? How are you doing tonight? Batman Fortress has been interesting, and that's one that another one where there's so many Batman titles. Like I'm just gonna have to sit this one out.
What was that one?
That's the one where like Superman's missing, and there's like anarchy in the
And
streets.
he's like watching the world, right?
It's something like that, yeah. I just read the synopsis for the first one. I'm like, I can't take on another title at the moment.
Yeah, I have no interest.
It is difficult when 2/3 of the solicitations are Batman.
Yeah, and it's not like DC's putting out a small solicitation either. Two
Right.
thirds is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they
not like
built
it's
stock back up.
2/3 of Source Point Press or something.
If you do it without a weapon, you might be okay. And that's the funny part because we've been seeing a lot of predators like killing people without weapons in their hands. That kind of we kind of passed that phase. I guess when we passed that in the movies, I guess they're not really because the predator in the comic just was like slaughtering scientists. I mean, there's some guards there and stuff and all that, but I don't know. I don't know. It was just a weird place to start it off. I thought it was going to be more. I don't know. I guess it was an expectation thing. I was looking for grounded, like Predator 1, Predator 2 kind of stuff. The comics definitely in Dark Horse era touch on all of it. Like they even go back and bring Dutch into it and stuff. Like the Alien vs Predator was lightly based on the comic, but the girl at the end actually leaves with the Predator to their homeworld, trains with them and everything, and it's brought into their tribe and all that. So you can really write whenever or whatever you want in them. Do a story arc, and then the next arc would just be its own separate entity altogether as well. You know what I mean? They didn't have like a long running linear story with just like one protagonist. But I'm going to check it out. I definitely want to go back and check out some of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Alien stuff too. I'm thinking about just maybe trade buying it. That's how I have all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably worth it.
Either of y'all read that?
I did.
I feel like it redeemed itself with this issue. It's still not a top hitter on the book, but for
my words exactly. I was like, this was not great, but it was like a huge turnaround from the last issue, which actually I did a little bit of digging on that. Apparently they had a fill-in artist for last issue, which makes no sense to me whenever it's an artist-centric title. Like if the artist creates and writes it, you would think he would be able to like do the artwork on all 5 or 6 issues or whatever. But yeah, apparently that was part of the problem with that last issue was it was a subpar fill-in artist.
It was really jammed and convoluted story-wise too, trying to push all these characters in. This was dope though. I liked where this went story-wise because we a lot of time with the I'm not going to use their dinosaur names because it's name of superhero Saurus or Odon at the end of it. But the Aquaman character followed Black Manta into the what they've been building. The bad guys been building in like this shrine to him, wanting to collect all the humans to take him back to, and he gets in there and he sees an egg, and Black Manta, that's an actual manta, is like asking for help from the egg, and it cracks, and the hand comes out, grabs him, yokes him in, and consumes him with Black Manta screaming and crying for help, and Aquaman decides that he's going to go after it, and it pretty much just you see Omega beams come out and just blast him. I thought he was dead. It looks like he just evaporated him. But fast forward, Green Lantern and Flash make their way in there, following some villains and stuff, bringing their defeated villains, and it consumes one of those villains. And Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman powwowing. Batman wanted to go off and do his own thing. Superman having the classic conversation with his father about staying on the farm or getting out into the world. And long story short, they all kind of go back to the dark side thing, and he hatches. And he's awesome. He's huge. He looks like a turtle dinosaur almost with the dark side colors.
Yeah. Like Bebop or Rocksteady like coming out the
end. One. It was wild, man, but it was a funner issue. It definitely was.
Yeah. This was definitely more of a more in a step in the right direction. It just feels like overly convoluted. Like there's just too many characters for 6 issues in the story they're trying to tell. I don't remember like all the dot shadow work being done in all the previous issues. That stood out a lot in this issue.
Was this the comic artist as well?
Which is too bad. It's too bad for me because you talked about it's a fun issue. It's like, to me, I mean, the whole concept, it should just be a fun concept. So that's really all you should be doing. So if you're not getting the fun part, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest problem with this series. Is like it should just be like stupid fun, but they're trying to make it more serious, and so that's kind of hurting it. And then the stuff in the last issue, sequentially, it was just like impossible to follow half the time. I was like, what is going on?
All I know, if this was a Daniel Warren Johnson written story, this story would slap. Like there'd be some way that Dinosaur Justice League would slap, but I don't even know why his name's on it. Like they give him the covers, and I can't see any of his style, his tone, his structure. None of it is inside of this book.
Yeah. I think that's what I was thinking as I was reading it. I was like, I feel like they're kind of selling this on his name, which is not great.
Yeah, sleazy.
Yeah.
But take the time to stop and look into it. You know, a lot of people don't read the credit page at the beginning to see who's doing what. And we didn't realize that it was pretty much Juan Gideon's love child till the week it came out. Like we were excited about it, talking about it, thinking it was a Daniel Warren Johnson project. But you wouldn't want just somebody who reads your other stuff or to read this and this be the first thing you read and credit it to him and then not go pick up Space Mullet or Murder Falcon. You know, like that would be wild if you don't pick up Do a Powerbomb, because like I've read his stuff. It's not really my jam. You know, like no, you have no idea.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, you'd be crying by issue 4 if it was his staple. So yeah, this issue, like I said, a little bit better, but still not like my favorite series. But I'm 4 issues in, so at this point, I kind of got to finish it.
Oh yeah, I'm finishing. I'm not going nowhere. I want to see what this giant has camera side's going to do.
I did love that Batman was just like, peace out. Like built a glider and was just like, I'm out of here. Like I'm gonna go do my own thing. So that was pretty good. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of weird. Superman. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a little bit weird that they were like, let's hide Jay's identity again and stuff, and like bring in this extra suit and all that. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It's like a great setup for whatever this little arc is about to be.
And he literally just summarized the entire issue.
Yep.
Didn't even realize he did, but that was the entire issue. Because the pacing of this book is driving me mad. Like it's well written, it's well done, but you can tell this single issue, like for the last 3 or 4, and probably like 5 pages, if you were a little bit tighter with it. I still think they're just trying to pace it out to do this one story arc to line up with Clark coming home.
Yeah, I think that may be it exactly. I mean, either that or he's gone to the Brian Michael Bendis School of Decompression.
They actually did take the fight finally to Gamora. They're going after Bendix. So like you said, they went to the fortress and got the suit for Jay to hide his identity again, just to make him a little bit safer when he's out doing stuff. Since so many people found out who he was and was already causing problems for him and the stuff that he does. We have Lois reporting directly for the Truth now. I don't know if y'all noticed that in the beginning. She was reporting for the Truth, which I don't know. I want that whole Truth thing to blow up, like there to be something. I think that would make for a more compelling plot twist if there's something to the Truth. But they actually take the fight to Gamora finally, so that's good. Finally there. I feel like we could have been there at issue 8, but we're there.
Yeah.
And then, next issue's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't even think of that, but I think you're absolutely right. I think they're trying very hard to almost tread water until they get to Cal coming back.
Yeah, because we're ridiculously close to that, right? We have like one more issue.
One more.
Well, this month, August 31st, it'll all be over, and he should be headed back. So, my counter argument to all of that, though, is it's a very manga style pacing. Like this is what the kids are reading, and so I think that might be more of what's going on than anything. Is DC's trying to figure out how to pull over all these kids that are paying $10 a month for Shonen Jump, and like how do we stop the bleeding, because we're running out of younger generation to pull into comics. So I think that's actually probably more of what's going on than anything, is they're just trying to like figure out how they can hook in those readers.
Well, if that's the case, that's a huge testament to Tom Taylor's writing, because it's I don't know, his Nightwing's like that too. Like I said the same thing about Nightwing, just with the pacing of it. Yeah, but he
Like,
does.
that's how manga is. Like, it'll be
Yeah.
600 issues of the same storyline. You know.
I can't do that.
But they have also said that the two Action Comics and Superman are going to tell the one story when he comes back, leading up
Hmm.
to Action Comics 1050.
Oh, okay. That'll be
That's
interesting
cool.
to see how they merge these two. So
Timeline wise, what is that with the anniversary stuff coming up? When's that drop? That's September, isn't it?
The Death of Superman?
Yeah, the anniversary stuff that they're doing.
It's coming in November. The Death of Superman
November,
is
okay.
November. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that, man. What is it? 4? We get 4 original stories, a new character in Doomslayer,
Yeah.
some awesome variants and awesome like special covers and stuff. The original creative team from the event from the 90s all coming back to do it, plus foily goodness from Big Time Collectibles.
I'm gonna say, keep an eye on Big Time Collectibles.
Yeah,
I am
this
all
is
over
gonna be
that.
fun. It's gonna be really fun.
I can't refresh their IG enough times.
I'll just message Nelson, like, man, come on, tell me what's going on. Just let me know.
I will say in this issue, like, standout moments for me, whenever he's like, "Yo, like, you can either choose me or like, you can either choose your country or the dictator." The lady just like reaches over and hits the button, like
yeah.
turns everything off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're about to stop him, and then he's just like, "Hey, me or the dictator?" And then she's
And
like,
he did a good job about making a very tense moment with like how Jay has been sent to infiltrate. Jay's been sent in first because he can phase, he can get through the shield and everything, because they don't want to just send in John just to try to break the shield down and watch all the casualties happen around the country. So they send in Jay to go in and shut it down. And they did good making it tense. He's like, because John's talking like, yeah, no one can hurt you when you're phasing, but you have to unphase to push that button. And that's kind of like telling the reader, like, that moment might be tough.
"Yeah."
And there was a cool moment too with the conversation with who does he have, like Airy and some other people that are been hiding out with the truth, like that conversation they had about the tactics of going in there.
Yeah,
like,
that was really good too.
No killing, and like, dude, you're out of your mind. Like, we're going to fight. You're telling us that we can't, like, we got to do it with one hand behind our back. You're crazy. That's not going to happen. John's like, then you're not coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not good enough to not kill, then you're not good enough to be on this mission.
Yes, I'm like, dude, that was
dude, like, he delivered right there. That whole scene is such a standout because like Damian shows up, right, and he's like telling him, like, giving him the rundown about how Superman is Superman because he is Superman, and you just got to do the Superman thing. And they're like, wait, but how did you even get in here? And he's like, I'm a trained assassin. What are you talking about? They're
we're
like,
on a submarine.
We're on a submarine under the ocean.
That was awesome. There was a moment like that in Deceased as well this week when they're all going to space to go find Clark in the sun to try to cure him. Damian, who's a grown up, is like, I'll come with you. Like, we're going to space. How do you plan to do that? I'm Batman. You can't breathe in space. Yeah, but I'm Batman. Like, yeah, and that's pretty cool because the same person's writing them, and both those books came out this week. He's just reinforcing, like Damian's got some chops, you know what I mean? But that was dope. We're on a submarine,
right?
Yeah, there was definitely some cool moments in it for sure. I like how they actually showed up for the fight as well. When the shield came down, like, all right, we're in. And then it just cuts to Johnny. You just see him. He's not flying in from the sky. You see him underwater, puts his hands up and just goes. And he pulls the whole submarine up. And they just jump off the submarine right in there. I'm like, there you go.
Good stuff, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they're doing good. They're doing John really well. So the big twist at the end of this, so we're in there, the fight's taking place, you get to the last page, and Bendix is throwing he's augmenting the people of the country against their will to give them powers. He has horrifically augmented Jay's mother. She has like a elongated, I'll just show you the picture. And that's how like very grotesque looking.
Very gnarly, yeah. Yeah, because he's like, what is it? Dream Seer or whatever?
Just
the Dreamer?
The Dreamer, yeah.
Dreamer? There you go. Okay, yeah. It's basically like, yo, Jay needs you. And he's like, but like Jay can just phase. Like, what's the problem, And he's like, yeah, he can't phase through this one. And then like John shows up in like very epic manner, of course. And you see the mom there. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. Can't really phase through that.
That's going to hit deep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was good. Did you check out Punisher this week?
I did.
Yes. How was that?
Hasn't been a bad issue yet.
Not yet, man. Yeah, this was really cool.
I'm glad
We got
jumped
some
on with
answers
it.
and some more questions.
Yes, I forgot that was at the bottom of the stack there. I forgot that was over there.
Yeah.
Punisher number 5.
And-
This is
And
Jason.
for all the haters out there, the original symbol has returned, so you can go ahead and jump on board.
It was never gone. Like he said, it's been hanging in his room.
Right? Well, apparently not. Apparently not for like a couple of hours now.
Well, I think that this is someone else. Yeah, because that's his. It's on the bulletproof vest. That's literally his.
Yeah, the one that Ares is wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because that had been hanging in his room inside of where the hand compound. Because he goes to his room. He's got all of his guns, people.
Yeah. He's got a whole of them.
He's never left any of his stuff behind from issue 1. It's all been right there with him. But we saw in that last issue that he got fed up with the practices of the hand. They pushed it too far. He's told him from the start of this, I'm leading y'all now to stop these other warmongers. When I'm done with them, I'm going to kill you all. He said it from day 1. So at the end of the last issue, he started swinging on him. And but they're so Heaven's Gate that they just like, oh, this is awesome. He's murdering more people. This is what we love. We love that he's the fist of the demon and like heads flying and stuff. But he attacked the actual priestess, and we find out that she's supernaturally charged, and she is kind of
Some sort of demon
reconstructs.
creature.
Yeah, something wild. But we also learned that he takes Maria outside of the compound. She instantly starts dying. Instantly.
Yeah.
He can't run back in to keep her alive. And when he does, he's not met with resistance, but with the people kneeling to him still. Like there's nothing this guy can do to them to make them not follow them.
If you're a fan of like Vietnam era Frank Castle, well, you basically get that in this one because him running through the jungle carrying her was very reminiscent of a lot of the Vietnam era stuff that you see. So they kind of like touched on that as well. There you go. See,
we also get
love this series.
We also get the meeting of them in this one. They give us a lot of backstory in this one, which is really just how he met Maria. Like he stood up for this kid at school against these bullies, and he pretty much just kept the kid at his side. They became friends, and them going out and stuff. And kid got him on a hockey team to help him get his frustrations out and stuff, and to kind of point that anger inside. And from going there, Maria was in attendance, and she was watching him play, and he didn't have the balls to say anything to her, so his friend went and gave her a note that his friend had wrote, but he wrote it from Frank. And so they
about an intricate story.
Yeah, so they hit it off, and they start spending time together. And now Frank's no longer there to protect this kid who's just the target of bullies his whole life. And while Frank was on a date with Maria, the kid was open season, and he actually got picked up by the bullies. And the next time you see him is in a wrecked car, where he's the only one that was still left in the car. The bullies got out, left him there, stuck in the car, bleeding, and he bled to death. And he was there for hours, screaming for help.
4 hours screaming.
Yeah, and it said that he was screaming for help for so long that when they found him, his voice was raw and clearly wasn't even able to speak anymore. It was heartbreaking. And then Maria, the next scene, comes to Frank to come check on Frank, and some time had gone by, and she's like, "Do you hear what happened to those kids? They found their dead bodies." And Frank went and got
standing next to a burn barrel.
Yeah, Frank standing next to a burn barrel, throwing away his clothes and stuff. He went and got punishment for his friend.
Yeah,
it was a very, very.
He drops a bomb. She drops a bomb, and then we go back to the compound.
So we get to the compound, and he tells the priestess, "You're going to save my wife, or I'm going to kill you all. Right now, I'm not going to wait." They're like, "Yeah, we'll save her. We're here to save her. We're here to help you. Anything you want, Frank. We're here for your service." And he's like, "I'm going to go handle Ares." So he's sick of it. He's going to go do what he really set out to do: shut down Ares, shut down these warmongers, and then come back for Maria. If she's not permanently fixed, everyone gets to die for it. And she's like, "All right, we'll get the troops and we'll send them." He's like, "No, y'all are staying here. I'm doing this." And he does. He heads in there. Helicopter style, crashes it on the outskirts of it's flying in with their own weapons. It's almost like intergang style stuff. It's like superhero level tech weapons. He comes in, cutting off heads, shooting people with the gamma guns, and he gets in there, and Ares finally says, the Punisher shall be redeemed, and just comes flying at him wearing the bulletproof vest with Punisher's skull on it. So the whole thing with Ares is he's figured out that the Punisher really should be his acolyte. He's the god of war, and that's what Punisher does is he makes war. And then you have the Hand that worships death, and they look at Frank as this man who just kills as like their god. So you have these two different factors that are now picturing Frank in their camp, and he just wants them all dead. But dude, this series is fire.
Yes. Yeah, it's been really good. It'll be interesting to see. I think next week, Daredevil #2 comes out, so it'll be interesting to see if they continue down that path of like trying to connect to this whole like new Punisher thing, or if they're going to kind of like take a left turn and steer away from that for the time being. Because I'm really enjoying Punisher, but I like how disconnected it feels to everything else that Marvel could potentially be doing. I'm not reading any of it, so I wouldn't know. But it's nice to read the Punisher, and it's like I'm getting everything I need out of it. And then, checking out Daredevil 1, it was like, oh yeah, it seems like they're about to like kind of bring a crossover thing into this with that book. And so, I don't know, on the fence about it all, but we'll see.
I really hope not. That last issue of Ghost Rider, not the one that I showed y'all, that special one shot, but that last issue of Ghost Rider, I've been loving that series. But they had a random issue with every other character that they can come in, having a random motorcycle race that was not prompted or led up to, just out of nowhere. I'm like, what is happening? what the hell is happening? Why is Moon Knight, Logan, Doctor Doom all on motorcycles in the middle of the desert racing? I am not lying. Man Thing was on a motorcycle. That is not the tone of this series. This has been a
Was this the Life Olympics?
Pretty much. That's exactly what it was.
This series hasn't even been going on that long, has it?
No, it's issue 4, I think it was.
They already went off the rails with 4? Good Lord.
Yes. They tried to preface it with like it's like the hell
editorial.
whoever wins this race gets to ask one request of the devil, and they all want to ask their own. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Black Widow was in the race. Moon Knight was in the race. Like, this is insane. Don't they all have other stuff going on? Like,
right.
All of them. How could you be here? But the only thing that came out of that was, Johnny's had that scar in his head. We don't know what's going on, but there's clearly something in it. An eye can be seen inside that scar. He crashes his bike, and he hits his head, and that whole thing comes out like almost like a giant parasite's crawling out of his head. He's got his head wrapped up, and Logan had to scoop him up and threw him on his bike and was driving like Logan was going to win the race. But Johnny kind of figured out the riddle. It's not actually a race for a reward. It's a trick that the devil's doing, but none of it mattered. It was still like the last Olympics. I'm like, this is that. Yeah, the scar looks like Kidman. Taylor, if you read that last issue of Ghost Rider, if you've been reading Ghost Rider, did that last issue just feel out of left field and not in line at all whatsoever with the series? It didn't. I don't even know how to describe it. But I'm excited for this special that they're doing because it's supposed to be giving us a new villain in it. Not a villain, but a new character called the Tattooist, and giving us the time that he spent and how he got to that little place. Something Falls is the name of it, that little sleepy mountain town. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not giving up on Ghost Rider. It's been fire so far. I mean, like, it's been like Punisher level good, and sometimes even better. But that issue was just like, what?
Weird.
Yeah, Ghost Rider jumped the shark on a fiery bike driven by Wolverine. It was so weird. So weird.
Wow.
But I've got only one more book that I read. Do y'all have any more that y'all read y'all want to hit on tonight?
I read
these you read that neither one of us did. If you want to tell us about
Dark Crisis, Worlds Without.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I read Blood Syndicate Season 1, Issue 4. This one was really good. There was a lot going on, but essentially what has happened is Holocaust, he burnt down this building that had all of like the Paris Bloods in it. So he basically killed off like a whole gang, right? And so then the cops showed up. And so that's where this issue actually picks up, is like the Blood Syndicate, even though they haven't pulled that name out yet. But the group of characters we're following that obviously is going to become the Blood Syndicate, they're like going to, confront Holocaust, but then also the cops are, because this whole building is like on fire because he just burned it down. And so basically the cops have a not so great run in with Holocaust, and our will be Blood Syndicate doesn't really fare that well against him either, because their plan, they put together a plan, but like they're not really, really a well oiled machine at this point. So they struggled. But it was pretty good. It's the 4th issue, I think, out of 6. So we kind of like saw them struggle, but kind of do their superhero thing for the first time. So I'm excited to see how they kind of regroup after this and figure out where we're headed next. And they also like brought in some characters that we hadn't seen yet, like Brick House finally showed up, and she's definitely a much more complicated character than she was in the original run and stuff. So I'm really enjoying like a lot of the changes they've made to it and the updates they've done. And I'm excited to see him like go toe to toe with Holocaust, because like that dude gives no F's. Like he is willing to burn down the whole city. Like at the end of it, basically he's like on the news or whatever, like there's choppers flying everywhere, and like on Paris Island there's only one bridge in and out, so he's like standing on this bridge, and he's like he's like, you know what, I gave everybody 20 minutes to get out, and that was 15 minutes ago, and just like burns the bridge down and stuff, so like he does not care. He's ready to like burn the whole island down just to get his way. So it's going to be fun to see how this plays out. I read There's Something Wrong with Patrick Todd #2. Sophomore slump. It was not as strong as the first issue was. I might be. I need to watch the first one so I can get my lines in line. And then, man, I read this book called Samurai Doggy, which is like kind of an annoying.
We just did the same thing. We both go.
We both did that doggy face.
So like it's set in, I think it's an Aftershock book, and it's set in like kind of an anthropomorphic world, and you get like the cool like sort of like samurai Japanese future world with like selective future tech and stuff kind of thing. What I really liked about it, well, let me say, like, the artwork is absolutely phenomenal. If you think you've ever seen Aftershock art and you were like not really into this, then this art will like stun you, because like it is absolutely gorgeous. And the panel work isn't as I think everybody hated it. I'll get to that. But like the panel layouts are not as unique as, is it Andre Sorrentino? The guy that did like what's it called? The Batman and the Imposter.
The Imposter, yep.
Yeah. So like they're not as
Primordial,
unique. Yeah. And Primordial, yeah, like it's not, the panel layouts are not as unique as that, but they are definitely a step above what a lot of people are doing in their books. It uses a lot of space. I really like the way it uses space. But yeah, I was going to say, I could see where people feel like it's very boring. And I was not completely sure how I felt about it, but honestly, like it kind of harkens back to a lot of like early 2000s anime, where like they like Evangelion or Now and Then Here and There. Where like you would have like these long scenes of people just like hanging out and kind of like, they're quiet and you hear the environment, right? And like it really builds the world. You hear like the cicadas and stuff, and there's like these long scenes of characters just sitting on a hillside, like not really talking, just like taking in everything they just went through. And this tries to do that in comic book format. And like I said, like the layouts give a lot of spacing that really give that vibe to it. And so, yeah, I could see how like it feels really boring, and it kind of depends on how the rest of the series plays out for me. But I really enjoyed what this issue was trying to do more than necessarily what it executed on. And The action, absolutely beautiful. Like whenever you like get into the thick of it, like it is violent, it's gory, it's very action oriented, and the artwork is absolutely stunning. Like I was blown away by how good the artwork was.
Who
So
published it?
pretty sure it's an Aftershock book.
That's who. That's Ed Brisson did the what was it, Beyond the Breach, right?
Beyond the Breach. I really enjoyed Beyond the Breach though.
So is this Predator book his first step into the big publishers?
I feel like he's done some stuff in the past for maybe DC. He might be new to Marvel. Or he might have done like some. I'm pretty sure there's like a big 2 title. He might have done like some X-Men stuff in the past.
Who is
But no.
the writer?
I'm talking about the Ed Brisson guy again.
All right, okay.
The guy who did that.
He might have done Age of X-Man, in fact, if I had to guess.
I don't know.
Dead Man Logan. So yeah, he's worked with the big 2 before. He did Dead Man Logan, Ghost Rider in 2020, Exterminator in 2019, Deadpool, Black, White, and Red.
He's doing Deathstroke Inc. I thought Joshua Williamson was doing that.
No, he is doing. It's like Deathstroke Year 1. I think he's doing, which is it right now. He's going to be doing Batman Inc. He's going to be doing.
Okay. So there you go, Flo. What was this savage? So I only got one more book, saving it for last year, because me and Paul have already recorded a video on this book, and it's Dark Crisis, I guess soon to be retitled Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, World Without a Justice League.
That's going to make a very busy cover.
It's going to make a very busy cover. It's really going to mess up the whole press dynamic. But this was the next one shot in the quest to keep up with what's going on with the Justice League since their death/appearance in issue 75. This one featured Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. Paul, do you want to discuss this one? And if y'all want to know the full breadth and detail, we'll break it down more depth.
Sure.
And on first off, when is that video posted? You have that scheduled?
It will be up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
Boom.
So.
That'll be on his channel at Sector
Correct.
2815. Sorry, I took it away.
So basically what happens is we start with the Green Lantern Corps is already under attack. And so Kyle basically sends something out to call on John Stewart. We get this whole little thing where we see an off-panel voice asking if they know what a Marine is, and so the person says no, and so they explain what a Marine is and everything, and so a Marine is a kind of soldier, and again we get the whole Green Lantern Corps is under attack. Kyle then says we have to call John in order to help resolve this, and we learn that John is now on what is a Smallville-like farm, building a fence to keep the rabbits out. And with him on the farm is his mother and his sister. His sister appears to be a 10 to 12-year-old girl. And so they're sitting there talking. And eventually what happens is his sister ends up, her eyes become green. She floats into the air. Basically, it's a call from the Green Lanterns. And we find out that his sister is actually a construct that John had created to hold the battery from Oa, which had been decimated in the Battle of Oa. And so John decides that he needs to go off and help them defeat the Bright Revenant.
Which is a giant baby with little wings and a whole army of little monsters.
Exactly. It's like a little
Cupid
doll.
creepy. Yeah, it looked really creepy.
but his mother makes him promise that he's going to come back, which he does. He flies off, and we get a really cool couple of panels where he changes from John Stewart into what is a really neat looking. I wish they would keep that look for him
Yeah,
when
that
everything is said and done, but I doubt that they will. And so he becomes the Guardian. He pretty much, within the space of a couple pages, he has this huge spear that he takes, and he basically, with one blow of the spear, defeats the Bright Revenant, and then he just goes back to his farm. So not really a lot necessarily happening in the issue. Couple things though. Obviously, these worlds that they're on are designed to be what the Justice League hero would assume to be like their paradise world. And so on this paradise world, his sister is still alive, even though it's a construct. Um, he is able to defeat the Bright Revenant and save the universe, basically, which, although it's not mentioned, could be a callback to what he did in Cosmic Odyssey, where he wasn't able to save the world, and it basically would be atoning for his biggest failure in his life. Um, and that's pretty much it for the first story, unless I missed anything,
no,
Mark.
no, that was literally it. It was one of those ones like just wanted to point out again, like these heroes are stuck in these worlds acts because he's using their to fuel his machine. He's trying to drive hope out of them so that he can uh, recreate what he lost back in the 80s when he created his machine that let loose the antimatter and destroyed the multiverse. So he's using hope as a fuel for it. So what we're seeing on all these worlds is these characters being or instilling hope and stuff like that. It was cool to see him kind of like the beacon of hope in here because he was like a one man army, a one man
Right.
marine.
Right. It was kind of a little bit surprising, I think, and we talked about this in the other thing, but where Hal Jordan was actually in this one, even though he appeared at the very end of Dark Crisis #3, in this very same, what appeared to be almost the same panel as we get with the first page with Kyle Rayner. But maybe that'll play out in the Dark Crisis
I
title
think
proper.
one of the funner parts was the cast. We had Kyle Rayner in there, but his character design is completely unique to this story. Jason Todd Red Hood was a Green Lantern in this. Steele's daughter was a Green Lantern in this. So it was cool seeing the different designs. It's always cool seeing the designs of the Lantern Corps and stuff because there's so much you could play with it and everything. So that was definitely fun read. It was one of those ones where I'm like, I guess because it's an event book, I'm just hoping to get so much for the
Right.
bigger plot and everything. And there wasn't as much with this one. We get a little tidbit in the next story. The second story was the Hawk Girl one.
Yeah, I actually thought the Hawk Girl story was, although not as long, it was actually, I thought, a better story. This is Jeremy Adams wrote this one. It basically has Hawk Girl on a expedition. She finds a pyramid. It seems to be like in Mexico or somewhere in South America. And she basically goes in and she talks about this whole thing about how she basically has. Um, she basically does not really she's not able to live because she's not able to die. Okay, it's kind of like the whole concept of the story, because she reincarnated every time she's killed. It basically is the whole concept of what was the
The
Leonardo
Da
da Vinci
Vinci,
quote?
the Da Vinci quote. I thought I was learning to live when I was really learning to die.
Right.
Like, yeah, let's see. Do. It's like Da Vinci said, I thought I was learning to live. I was only learning to die in reference to life. And she said, today that changes.
Right. And so she ends up in this tomb, basically, and we get to see the vase of mortality. And she takes a drink from the vase of mortality, and she ends up with this brand new. Oh, thank you. With this brand new costume, which is pretty dope costume, I have to admit. But then she suddenly finds herself fighting these skeleton beings, um, and we also see different iterations of her in the panel, um, uh, that she has gone through, and she ends up dropping to her knees. She ends up unconscious for a while, but then she ends up defeating these skeleton beings, and she ends up going off. And then we see coming out of the shadows is Pariah, who gives his
Maniacal
best.
laugh.
Exactly, his best. If there was a BWAH, it would be Ted Cord and Booster Gold laugh from the Justice League International.
Yeah.
Um,
So
and
we
that's
get
pretty much
him. So
where it
it's
ends.
cool that we're seeing that he's actually observing them, and it's kind of led my mind back to Aquaman since we spoke last, because Aquaman is the only one now. We've had four characters: Superman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Aquaman. Aquaman out of it.
Yeah, he's the only one really, he's the one who has basically, kind of vowed to go after whoever has put them in these situations. Um, so
So knowing that out of it, knowing that Fry is there, he is attainable for that potentially.
I think you froze, Mark. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know if he
Oh,
knows
that
that his internet's garbage, but your internet's garbage, bro.
internet's
Wow.
the
I
computer.
couldn't understand you. Go ahead, Stephen Hawking. Explain how the universe works. We're here.
Wow.
Dragging.
And so that's pretty much where the Dark Crisis. So we will next jump into the Flash and Young Justice as part of the Dark Crisis event, and then we'll get to Dark Crisis. We'll get to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths next, number 4.
Am I still lagging?
You're
No,
caught up now.
you're good now.
I just get these weird moments where I'll get like the little bar thing that says it's not getting a good signal.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not
You're good with
hardwired
this one.
in. You know. Well, that's pretty much it for tonight, guys. Be sure to check out Sector 2815's channel where we do the Dark Crisis deep dive every week when the new stuff comes out. Ryan, do you have any new content dropping tomorrow?
Not off the top, no.
What about the bottom?
Probably not either.
Okay.
I am trying to put something out Tuesday, though, so we'll see how tomorrow goes for me.
And where can people find your stuff?
Cosmic-campfire.com.
Boom. So he's been doing a lot of fun, like short stories. He uploaded a bunch of them right from the beginning, where he did what was it, 30 and 30?
Yeah. Yeah, and those, if you sign up, you get a PDF of all of those. So,
Which is really cool because it automatically sends to whatever device, platform, app, whatever that you can do reading on. Like I use Google Books, and it automatically was able to send it there, so I can literally just read it like a book on my tablet or my phone. It was seamless. Like I'm somebody who hates having to figure out the new stuff and everything, like Substack and all that. But it went straight to there. I could just click on that existing thing on my phone that's not even deletable if I wanted it to be, and just read it straight from there. Follow Ryan's Substack. It's worth reading. That was my best Taylor Winder.
yeah, I mean, that's a hell of an endorsement.
I didn't know Taylor had a Substack.
Me neither.
Taylor, you
Where
should
can we find it?
Yeah, you should probably tell people that. I feel like I talk to you a couple of times a week, and I've never known that about you. Aggressively loves the format of getting it sent by email.
Yeah, that's the upside, right? No extra platforms to visit.
But I appreciate you guys hopping on. It's 10:30, so I have to aggressively shut this down and actually go lay down. 4 a.m. is not far away, and I know.
Wow.
end up rolling around for a little while. I want to finish. I'm going to take the Space Mullet trade with me and finish that out. I'm halfway through Space Mullet.
Nice.
Well, here we go. Random comment by Steve. He doesn't ever say hello first. I used to think everyone else was an asshole and the problem. I've now realized I am an asshole and the entire problem. Life be like that sometimes, man. I had that same realization many, many years ago about myself, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what I do. Lean into it.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's like a whole nother level to that where you realize that actually both of them are true.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a hobby.
Everyone. Yeah. If you don't fight it, Steve. Own it. Be it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely appreciate you guys popping on, and thank you everybody for watching. And we'll end it with this one.
And you're welcome to come use one of the 8 easels we have set up for creating art here at the show for consideration for our art auctions on Saturday for our major auction at 8 p.m. at the Weston Ballroom. And the smaller auctions we'll have here on the convention floor on Sunday starting at noon.
That's a flash from the past.